This is Trainual. See that? AI inside of Trainual. I've got a fun thing to share in this next one, but how to leverage AI inside Trainual to level up your playbook. And with me, Chelsea Crusay is going to come on. Chelsea, why don't you join me?
Hey, Jonathan, and thanks for everyone for being here.
All right. Well, let's play a quick little video. Everybody who is in Trainual knows that when we do our company all hands, I'm typically the one that's just playing videos like the Google Docs one to just have some fun. So here we go. Here's another video. And that sets the stage for what we're about to talk about today. But let me first introduce Chelsea. Chelsea was the literal first employee here at Trainual. She was actually working with Chris in Organized Chaos before Trainual was launched as its own company. When we did that back in January of 2018, she has worn almost every hat in the business and currently is a product manager on our innovation, our labs team, working at the forefront of some of these technologies like AI to push things forward, and has the context of wearing every hat. So Chelsea, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but thank you for joining for this session. I know you've been the one that's been leading the charge on kind of bringing some of these features to life.
Yeah, thanks for having me. The labs team has been hard at work this past year, and I'm super excited to talk a little bit more about all of the features that utilize AI with you today.
It's fun looking back to these photos from 2018. All right. So another throwback here. This was Insider Summit 2020. If anybody tuned in for that, you remember Chris and I did a session called What's Next for Trainual? And inside of that, we talked about a few different concepts. They were just concepts in our head at that point, things we were starting to think about exploring. One of them was this idea of this operational knowledge insurance, which was kind of like, how do you protect the knowledge in your business, right? There's offboarding, people leave, retention, we can't have 100% retention all the time. So how do you retain the knowledge in your business? Or how do you have somebody like Chelsea, who just has been here forever and who knows everything about everything? You could ask her, like, how were we doing customer support back in January of 2019? And she would know, right? And so how do you replicate that with the knowledge that you capture in Trainual? Another big topic was answers when you need them. And obviously today we touched on that with what you saw in Taylor and Chris's opening keynote. And we'll touch on that again here with the search aspect. And then essentially our real big idea is that Trainual mirrors your business, right? And I think you get that by where we've been going with the business playbook concept, that POV of your profile for your company, your processes, your policies, your people all in one spot, and how it connects and access and assign and all of that. And so how does Trainual continue to mirror your business, not just where it is today, but where it's going? And we'll touch on that as well. So as we get into it, I want to share a couple different product vision statements that have guided us along the way. One, from the very beginning, get your business out of your brain. This is like our registered trademark statement since we launched this company. It was get your business out of your brain. That took shape more recently into your playbook writes itself. That's what that means, right? It's like, how can we make it as easy as possible? Just take everything that's up here and get it into Trainual. The other thing is that instant access to the knowledge you need. How do we just like shorten or even eliminate that time frame between like, I need to know this so that I don't have to go ask Shannon all the time. We're all Shannon, right? And then Trainual as your MVE, most valuable employee, right? We don't want to say Trainual is going to replace your employees, but it's going to become one of your most valuable employees because it will have the most tenured knowledge, just like Chelsea. All right. And Chelsea, I'm going to kick it over to you to start introing our features.
Sure. So Compose, let's get started. This was our very first AI feature that we built. And as you all know, you've heard us talk about this before, our product team's constantly looking for ways to make content creation easier. And AI was something we really wanted to incorporate as soon as we could. Jonathan, I know you could speak to that as well whenever ChatGPT came out, and us really wanting to act on that quickly.
As soon as I saw it, it was like, what are we doing with this? Like, we have to get this like in Trainual ASAP. It was just nuts. It felt like the internet was reborn.
Yeah. And before we start playing this demo here, I just wanted to share my favorite way to use Compose. So there's so many different ways to use it. We're going to walk you through 2 examples today, but my favorite way is really when you need help filling in the gap. So you've gotten started, maybe you have a subject written, you have a couple of published topics, and there's a few that you just have like writer's block with, and you don't know how to go on. So Jonathan, if you don't mind starting this one over, this is an actual account that I have, and I'm going to go into the office overview and policies subject that we have in here. And you'll see some of these topics and steps inside of them were super easy for me to write. And others, like I said, left me with a little bit of writer's block, but I'm super eager to publish this subject, and I'm excited to show you how Compose can help you do that. All right, so as I click into remote work here, I want to first explain the mechanics behind how Compose works. So as you'll see in a second, Compose asks me for bullet points, which it then turns into fully baked sentences. And the most important thing to note here is that it understands the context behind those bullets. And before you use Compose, you need to make sure that you have the topic and step name named accordingly, because Compose is going to look at that along with those bullet points that you add, and it's going to draft the best possible suggestion for you. So we're going to go ahead and see this in action. You'll see the Compose button right next to record. All right, and when I go into requirements, now I'm going to click on Compose, and I'm going to type in different things like reliable internet, being available via Slack, having video on in Zoom meetings, and limited distractions wherever you choose to work. So it's going to take this, again, it's going to combine it with the topic name and the step name. And when I click Compose, it's going to generate a response for me. So we'll go ahead and click Compose, and then all of the magic is happening behind the scenes as soon as you click that button.
I would love to know in the chat, anybody chime in if you have not used Compose yet. I think a lot of people have, but I'm just curious, who has not tried this in their own account yet?
All right, and so we have our response here. You'll see that this added a ton to the bullet points that I included. It made it super easy. It took me 10 seconds to write in those bullet points. And it talks about having a reliable internet connection, why that's important. It talks about virtual meetings and the power of face-to-face interactions, which is why we ask our team to have Zoom on. And any thoughts on this one, Jonathan, before we add it to the step?
No, I mean, I've seen a couple people chiming in saying one said yikes, too much text. But I know one of the things that we have is try again, right? If this feels like too much, there is a sweet spot probably between bullet points and being super robust. Some people want super robust, really professional training content. Other people want it to be a little more TLDR, right?
And the beauty is, once we put it into the step, here's where you can edit it. So we always recommend reading through this, removing anything that you feel like is fluff that you don't need. And there's also going to be cases where you feel like you should add a photo or a GIF or change the styling, making some things bold, adding colors, all of that. So let's jump into the next one, availability. For this one, the bullets that I'm going to include are, as we click this, once again, this is for remote work and availability. So I'm going to say must be available between 9 to 3 PST and update your Google Calendar to reflect your schedule. And let's see. So we gave it a little bit less this time than the last one, and let's see what it comes back with. All right, so you can see that even if you only give it a few little things, it's going to really help you build out this entire step. And if it is ever too much content for you, like we said, once you throw it into the step, you can delete it. You can totally make this your own, but it gives you a lot to work with. If anyone remembers having to write papers in college and high school growing up, it was always the hardest part was getting started, So this really gives you that starter to then build upon and edit from there. But that's it for Compose. So super excited to hear what everyone thinks about that. And as always, we'd love your feedback on other things you'd like to see with it.
Right. Compose is super powerful too. And it's the hardest part of starting to actually write out and document things in your business is getting started writing. And I remember seeing Seth Godin talk and him saying nobody has talker's block, right? But you have writer's block. Why? Right? Why can you just say something as soon as it comes to your mind, but as soon as you start and sit down and try to write, you're just I don't know how to start. I don't know what to say. And this is that thing inside of Trainual to help you break the writer's block. All right, role chart. This is something that is really exciting. I mentioned in that vision statement about Trainual being not just where your business is today, but where it's going. And role chart allows you to plan for that, right? The difference between an org chart and a role chart, as Chris talked to in his keynote, is that org chart is the individual person in every seat of the business and who reports to who. The role chart is the role infrastructure, the job title infrastructure of your business. and how those titles and hierarchy work. And you might have multiple people in multiple places, and you can actually add to your role chart without even having somebody in that seat. You can start planning for future roles of where do we need to be a few years from now, and what are the responsibilities that go under these roles that I haven't even hired for yet, but I might be hiring by the end of the year, and start to move people through those places. So this is one of those steps towards not just today, but tomorrow for your business and how you utilize that and plan for it in Trainual. But what does AI have to do with the role chart, Chelsea?
Sure. So we wanted to also make this experience easier. Just like writing content can be challenging for some people, building out a role chart, especially when you don't have, as we say, butts in those seats, we wanted to make this process automated and be able to make it really easy for everyone to tackle. So if you're ready to see it in action, let's get right to it. All right. So to navigate to the AI role chart, I'm first going to click on People. And then I'm going to click on Org Chart, and I will toggle over to Roles, which is right next to People. And from here, you'll then see Edit Chart in the top right. So I'm going to click on that. And a few things to note here. So by default, we have our highest ranking role listed as the CEO. You can change that if needed, but that's always going to be your default. And then in terms of the other people that you need to have in here, you do need to have at least 3 roles created before you can do this. And you do see there's a purple button where you can create new roles right from this page, which makes it a super easy and smooth experience. So once you have at least 3 other roles and that highest ranking role, make sure that where it says reports to, those are all blank. And then from here, you'll be able to click on Regenerate Role Chart. It'll say generate for you if it's the first time. I've just done this many times. And from here, Jonathan, what do you think?
I mean, I love it. This is one of my favorite things. It's so subtle, but it's so fast and easy. And this is like in a lot of the accounts that we've been building out in sales and marketing for just our partners, or for like demo accounts for new verticals. Like this has just been one of the best things to just shorten the time to have a pretty robust, built out, cool, structured account.
Yeah, I think this is great. And if you look at all of the examples in here, makes total sense. It has all of the VP, director level roles reporting right up to the CEO. And it just makes it so much easier for you. Just like Compose, you add in a few things and like magic, in a few seconds, it's done.
I think the main thing about all of this that AI is rooted inside of with Trainual is context, right? Like that's what AI allows us to bring to whether it's search or pulling from like, oh, you're in this subject, you're in this topic, you're in this step, and now you're writing about these things. Great, I have that context. I can inform a better written, output. Or I have the context of, oh, these roles just in business across the world typically have this reporting structure. Does this work for you, right? And that's just, it helps fast track things. All right, so groups. We touched on groups. Chris Taylor gave an awesome demo of this. Roles and responsibilities has existed in Trainual for a long time, but what does AI have to do with groups and roles and responsibilities?
Yeah, so once again, you're going to see this in a second, but we wanted to be able to build out roles and responsibilities much easier using AI and using context we have from working with tens of thousands of businesses. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. We'll start by making a new group. And as you heard earlier, groups can now be roles, teams, departments, locations, or something else. For this example, I'm going to use a department and I'm going to name it Customer Success. So super simple to add the new group. I'm personally very excited for this feature. I'm now going to click on responsibilities. And from here, you're going to see something that looks super familiar, Compose. You can go ahead and click on that. And it's going to take this department title, and it works for any of those groups. And it's going to generate a description for this department. If I want to go ahead and use that, I just click use this and drop it right in. And next up is our recommended responsibilities. And before I show you how this works, I want to explain how we're able to do this. Unlike AI-powered search that's searching content you've personally written, recommended responsibilities uses machine learning. So we have over 10,000 businesses around the world using Trainual, and they're adding roles and responsibilities to their accounts. So the power we have here is that we're able to leverage AI under the hood to really understand the roles you're defining as well as potential responsibilities. So let's click on add responsibilities, and you're going to see a ton of relevant things. So resolve complaints in effective and efficient manner. Let's add that. Maintain a positive and professional attitude with customers. Let's add that one. Know the products inside and out for any client questions. We'll go ahead and add that one too. So super easy, right? Because I've done this a million times here and it can be hard to think of responsibilities. So this makes it so much easier for you. And then also, this is one of my favorite tricks, but you see the little link to the right? You can actually link content to each of these responsibilities. And I've personally found this can be an easy way to build out content. So I've helped with hiring new roles here over the years. And there have been times I've created, 30, 60, 90s for team members, and building out those responsibilities and the role description allows me to think through the content I need to generate.
Love it. It's funny. I'm marketing the systems and processes company, but I've never been like the systems and processes guy like Chris has been. For me, documentation and like structuring out all this concepts and everything, it's always been such a burden. And I think a lot of people feel that way. People come to Trainual in a more reactive state than proactive most often, because people, it feels like signing up for homework sometimes. And so I love that all these things are just making it that much easier to just get started and structure this out in a powerful way without, in a fraction of the time as it used to take. All right, search. Touched on search earlier. I know we got a quick demo here.
And before we play that, I just want to share a little bit of context. So first, I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but this is definitely one of my favorite features that I've worked on. And I want to explain it a little bit. So most search these days is keyword based, meaning that the search relies solely on keywords in your search. And then it looks at keywords in context and kind of matches those up. So it typically gives you like a long list of results, and there's not really any context behind that. But with AI-powered search, I'm explaining this poorly right now, sorry. With AI-powered search, it's all about understanding the meaning and context behind your search. So it's making it so much better than keyword search. We use natural language processing to understand the meaning behind those search terms and understand the context in which it is used, providing more accurate and relevant search results than ever before. So you'll see in this example, we searched what is our PTO policy. And really the purpose of this isn't for someone who hasn't yet gone through their account. The purpose of AI-powered search is for employees who have already gone through it. Maybe they've been here a couple years, they just can't remember something, and they want to quickly find an answer, whether on desktop or on the app. Okay, so Jonathan, what do you think about the result here?
I think it's great. It's pretty generous.
It is.
Let's see. I like that it pulls like the found in, right? It's not, it's showing me like the cited sources of where it is.
Yeah. And what this does, to give a little bit more background on how AI powered search works, is it looks at all of your step content. So it's not looking anywhere else outside of your account. It's just looking at the 3 most relevant steps that you have in your account, and then it's generating an answer from there. So another example here, can I bring my dog to work? It's saying yes, and it lists all of the steps that it was found in.
I like that this one pulled up the lunch topic too, because you can see like, so this is where it's pulling context, right? It says like in our lunch step, you can see there the little preview, get your kibble on. So it's just saying like kibbles are related to dogs. So that might be a relevant subject for you.
Yeah, I know. And that's such a funny example, but I also kind of love it because it is so smart in knowing words that are tied to dog and things that are tied to PTO. So it's really able to pull in a lot more than you would think.
All right. And lastly, import. I know search and import are the 2 that are live in the accounts today. These are probably the most buzzworthy. We don't need to demo this one. I know Taylor took you through that, but this is just to show. There was a question in the chat earlier, like, do I have to do anything for formatting wise to actually import this? And the answer is no. Like whatever you have in your Word doc or your Google doc, AI, what that is doing under the hood is understanding, again, the context of it and what makes the most sense to be the subject, to be the topic, to be the step, and where the step content goes.
Yeah, this one's going to be such a game changer. I know I've talked to a lot of customers personally over the years who have both asked for it, and now getting to see the other side of things and working with customers who are actually using it. It's so helpful, because if you have ever copy and pasted something, it takes quite a bit of time, and this just makes life so much easier. So super excited, and I can't wait to hear what everyone has to say about this one.
And every time that you use the importer, you can play straight out of Google Docs by Trainual. It's on Spotify. So
Was that like a subtle feature request, Jonathan? Do you want me to just automatically have that?
Yeah. Auto play the song every time somebody hits import. That's perfect. I love that. Nobody else.
Done.
All right. So I'm breaking our own brand standards again by recoloring the AI inside Trainual. But just to point out that like AI, we've kind of always joked that it's been inside of Trainual since we started experimenting with it. So going forward, you'll never see a recolored little AI thing again because it just is foundational to what we're building in the future. It's becoming part of what enables the bread and butter that Chris was talking about. So it just is. It's inside of the brand, right? But where are we going with this? There's a lot more that we could do. So there's things that I saw even in the suggestions from the process people community. Tamara, if you're on, you're amazing. I saw your question about like, can AI recommend more effective training content based on like contextually looking at what you have, right? Like in that core values example of the doc, can it look at your core values and actually start creating more content related to that without you having to be there other than just like approving it? Maybe it's stuff that we're exploring is contextual, like analyzing what you have and adding onto it. We're exploring improving contextual knowledge retrieval, right? Search is going to get better and better and better. We are exploring like how AI sits inside of analytics and starts to surface insights on how people are going through the tests and engaging with the content. And when content is out of date, can it analyze what you're doing, how you're working, and suggest updates? There's so much that we can do with this, and just know that Chelsea and her team are on the fringes, on that cliff, not falling off the cliff like the coyote, but they're on that edge of the cliff, the cutting edge, looking for the next ways to power up your playbook.
Thanks so much for having me, Jonathan.
Chelsea, thank you.
Okay, bye.